Even be angry. I'm so hurt. I'm so hurt for all of these people and all of these families that are going to suffer.
More than 2,500 people learned yesterday they're losing their jobs at the Tyson beef processing plant in Joslin. How some employees are coping with the unexpected blow and who's already stepping up to help. That is our top story here at 5. Good evening, everyone. I'm Redrick Terry. Thanks for choosing our Quad Cities News at 5. Tyson Foods made the announcement yesterday. It is shutting down its Joslin plant with plans to move its central U.S. beef businesses around Dakota City, Nebraska, Holcomb, Kansas, and Amarillo, Texas. The company mentions a cattle shortage as one of the reasons behind the layoffs. You can hear the raw emotion in this video, which shows the moments after employees learned their jobs were coming to an end. When they walked into work yesterday, they had no idea what was about to happen. And that includes Jenny Arianes and her sons and daughters, who all worked at that plant. And now she said she's worried about her family and her former coworkers, including immigrant employees who are still employed and sponsored by Tyson Foods.
You think about this and you think about the detrimental effects in our community, and especially the minority community. I mean, we have people here at Tyson that were sponsored through Tyson to work here. So their employment is now terminated at Tyson. They have 60 days to leave the country. They're not legally allowed to work anywhere else because they were sponsored by Tyson. And you've got people that have been working here since, like my father-in-law, 33 years. He's 66 years old. Where's he going to go now? Who's going to hire him now?
Tyson says its workers will be paid through October 12th. Our Quad Cities' Hami Arena has been following this story for us today. He joins us now to tell us more about this situation at Joslin. And Hami, you actually spoke to a woman who, as we mentioned, had generations of her family members working at that plant.
That's right. Thanks, Frederick. And, we talked to that woman on the phone Thursday night, and she told us many employees were just hanging around the parking lot, including some of her kids, not sure where to turn next for much of Thursday after they learned that they lost their jobs. And even some supervisors, one or two, maybe telling them, well, there's nothing for them that day, Thursday, but try again tomorrow, Friday, right? So you just heard from her a second ago.
Yeah, and for many people, as she mentioned, like her father, that was their first job, and they held it since the 80s. How are people dealing with this? This is a pretty big thing to deal with.
Exactly, yeah. We talked to another woman who is trying to help her father through this. Now, this is some of the family right here. You can see such a family man right here, working at that Tyson plant since 1988. His first job, as you mentioned, she said he would call it the Tyson bus, going from Moline near the Burger King straight to the plant. And this is still such fresh news, maybe like 27 hours later. So yeah. People are feeling frazzled, don't know where to turn next. And some were told to come in Friday and or Monday, depending on their department. Others were told Thursday. That's their last day. It's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, it's very chaotic in terms, as well as all the emotion that goes along with it. So where do people go from here, and how could they help in the short term?
It's all about the human element here. Yeah. And Jenny Arianes, we talked about earlier, pretty much telling us this is where community is so vital, telling us that now that her whole house is unemployed, family had generations of Tyson employees over the years, but in the near future, she's planning to send some food over to one of her neighbors. She noticed one of them extremely distraught Thursday afternoon, just talking about in his front yard. And her message remains, just reaching out to the people you know who've been affected by any of this, because really any small act of kindness here can go a long way.
Especially in this situation.
That's
our
right.
Hami Arena reporting. Thanks so much, Hami. Meanwhile, that main question continues to come out of this situation. What kind of help is available for those 2,000 plus people who lost their jobs? Earlier today, we caught up with the American Job Center for a look at how they're stepping in to help.
We refer to the American Job Center as kind of one-stop shopping. Come in, we'll figure out what you need, and then we'll get you in touch and connect you to who can help provide that. We are encouraging the folks who have been affected by this, and because it's been so new to all of us, it's going to take us a little time to coordinate some efforts, but we are in I've had lots of conversations with a lot of people, both at the state level and even in our local level. The mayors have called. Richard Brunk, our county board chair, is very much involved and wants to help. Our counterparts in Iowa And I have been on some calls to help coordinate some of the activities about doing job fairs and helping people file for unemployment if they need to. And so we're developing some informational sessions that we're going to have across. Well, I mean, we'll probably have some here. We'll probably have some in Kewanee because we have some folks there. We'll have, some in Iowa, just to meet their needs and let people know what help is available.
Congressman Eric Sorensen says his top priority is getting the 2,500 workers impacted by the closure back to work and helping families through the transition.
I am going to do everything that I can from this point forward to make sure that those thousands of our neighbors are connected to good paying jobs, that we're making sure that we're doing everything to keep that either that plant in operation or find resources for every one of those unemployed, whether that is at Smithfield and Monmouth or at other places here in the Quad Cities.
The Greater Quad Cities Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is stepping up to support families in need.
We have a job board on our website that you don't have to be a member to get onto that job board and take a look and see what's available. Asking our members who have not posted some jobs yet or utilized that job board to make sure they post jobs so people can have a place to go to.
The group also has a Facebook thread where businesses can share job postings. Riverbend Food Bank says it's on standby to help with any food insecurity caused by the closure. Their interim CEO told our Quad Cities News this is not the first time they've had to deal with major job loss in the area. They say they're also expecting a big increase in people coming to their pantries.
We want to make sure that there is enough food for everyone during this very sad time. So our partners and our clients can rely on Riverbend to make sure that we have food for everyone as they navigate this change in their lives.
You can find a pantry near you or make a donation at riverbendfoodbank.org. Another organization stepping up in the Quad Cities is World Relief. They've partnered with Tyson for more than 15 years to help employ refugees and immigrants. The organization says many households it supports relies solely on the income they earn at Tyson. So right now, it's focused on raising awareness and bringing community resources together to help those families.
People saying, like, what does this mean? How could this happen? We had one person, it's just very somber because we had one person say that this is the worst news they've ever faced, and that's coming from someone who fled their home country. So it's very sad. It's heartbreaking.
The organization will also help people navigate the job search process, including interpretation, translation, and transportation assistance. Employers are encouraged to reach out with available job opportunities. Via French Community Mental Health Center is also stepping in to help workers with their mental health. The center is offering free services to anyone who needs it.
We're the Community Mental Health Center, which means we help people regardless of their ability to pay. And in a situation like that, that's going to help a lot of people. They need, if they do have funds, they need a sliding scale. If they don't have funds, they need, charity care, basically the ability to just come in and get the help they need. As a community mental health center, we have ways of helping people that don't require them to dig into their pockets and open up their checkbook.
Services are available there Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then Wednesday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Shalom. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Rechak Wadash, and double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops here at Great Millstone for teaching this truth that's going all around the earth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Itaza Wine. We're back at it again with another short lesson. All right, we had that 8-minute clip, a news clip concerning the layoffs at this particular Tyson plant in Illinois. And, it's just a sign of one more sign of the things to come for Babylon the Great. And I believe the report said there was like 2,500 people that lost their jobs there at that plant. And one thing about these types of situations, especially when it deals with economics, right, in the time in which we are living, it has more than one effect. It has more than one effect of just a person losing a paycheck. Now, undoubtedly, it is a difficult situation for those to be in. All right, and I will say this, that although the news cast showed a lot of people that looked like they were Edomites, there was a mention of those that were immigrants who had visas, I guess, to work at that particular plant, and now they have no job and they'll be forced out of here. So undoubtedly, it's talking about Jakes. Could be some, as they call them, migrant workers, immigrants, Mexicans or Guatemalans and such, who are Israelites, all right, mind you, for the most part, right? So this brings a lot of hardship all the way around, all right? So as you see in the report, there were several different agencies who want to step up and try and help that small community up there in Illinois. Okay, so it's not just a matter of losing a job, which is hard enough, all right? However, there is what's called a trickle-down effect. And that's why I believe they probably put all those different agencies in there, because when you lose a job, now you've lost your primary source of income, right? You lose your career. As they stated, one man has been there for 33 years, right? And what job is going to hire him now that he's older, all right? And so with that comes anxiety, comes worry, comes stress, right? And people losing their jobs, such people have been known to take their own lives, as it were, right? So this system here in Babylon the Great is definitely failing, okay? It's failing its people, okay? Those that rely on the economics of this place. And that the folks in control, are sabotaging the economy, right? And there'll probably be more stories like this to come, okay? So we just got 4 scriptures to go through. I'm going to make this quick. This is Ecclesiastes 12:1. It says, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not." And these evil days are like what you're seeing now. Because what you're going to have now is what happens when a man can't pay his mortgage, right? Or if there's no job comparable to what, his previous job, or pays him close to the same wages that he had, then you run into a financial crisis, right? Or what if you can't make the payments on your homeowner's insurance, or whatever the case may be. So it has more than just one effect, right? So then it puts people into a tailspin, right? And it causes evil days for them, because most people sit up and worry, if they have children, just like this society loves to put you in debt, right? You have credit, and what if a man's got 2 or 3 kids and he mortgaged his home, to put them, quote unquote, through college, right? Or their kids got, student loans, right? In which they make a lot of the parents sign onto those student loans, right? And so now you're burdened with stress, you're burdened with debt, you're burdened with how you're going to feed yourself if you don't get a job within, I think they said they're going to pay them a severance for up to 2 months. Well, that's all well and good, but you start worrying from day one. These people start worrying from day one. They're not thinking about, well, I got 2 months of severance pay that I can live off of. No, you're thinking about that 3rd month, right? The day that they let you go, okay? So that trickle-down effect, it affects every part of their lives, And this is really, again, another stain on Babylon the Great, okay, for the things that's going on here. And it's systematically crumbling, right? And it's all through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because this place has to go. This evil kingdom has to go, right? So this is why the scriptures warn you and tell you about famine, and great death, right? That's going to come to Babylon the Great. Okay. Going on in that same verse, it reads, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be what? Afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets, right? Which is just another way of saying terrible, grievous times will approach, okay? And people will find themselves in these weird, peculiar situations and losing a job, okay? And their mind begins to wander, all right? Just like they said they had the guy for the mental health community, all right, available to try to, because undoubtedly there'll be somebody that they'll have to talk off of the ledge, because as the old saying goes, pressure can bust a pipe, okay? So you got the thought of not being able to find a job, to the thought of being underemployed, to the thought of how you're going to meet all your basic bills, right? Especially if you have children. Now you have to go to the pantry. Then eventually you got to figure if it's 2,500 people that lose their jobs, that's at least 10,000 mouths to feed. If you double it, if they're married and then they have 2 kids, you're talking about more than 10,000 people you'll have to feed in that town through the pantries every day, So it triggers a lot of different scenarios, all right, which is the whole point, all right? And it puts fear in people, all right? Uncertainty, it can bring on anxiety, right? The unknown, right? And so we have to thank the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man, that, we are grounded in the truth and in faith, most of all, right? That the Lord will take care of us. But for such other people, that's not the case. All right. So this is Jeremiah 51:7. It reads, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. He made all the earth drunken, Salakia, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, every one into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Right, so with all the sin and iniquity, the innocent blood that was shed here, Babylon the Great has to pay. And that includes the rulers of Babylon the Great. All right, and it also includes what? The people. Okay? And so there's no way to heal this place. This place is already, as we're reading, prophesied to go down. And this plant, and I think there was another plant just a couple of months ago that ended up closing. Okay? And so you're seeing the agony of these families and what they're going to have to eventually deal with. Revelation 18:21, and it reads, And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. All right, so the Lord is destroying this place. The Lord has destroyed his infrastructure, his economics, okay? is destroying it inside out, right? Even of those who claim to be, if you will, the keepers of this place, even their own U.S. economic people, all right, are forecasting doom and gloom, okay? Verse 22, and the voice of harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be, right? So even if you are working in a packing plant and you're a master packer or a master butcher or a slaughterer or whatever the case may be, whatever is your trade, all right, these places are going to close on you, all right? Going on, it says, shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, right? Everything is going to cease to exist, as you know, in terms of jobs, in terms of providing, you know, for yourself and your families, okay? Now, the hopeful elect, you know, the Lord has given us a promise that he'll watch over us and our families, you see, and those who are, let's say, you know, who are not, for those who are Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you outside of the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you're not in this truth or in this faith, you're going to catch hell, all right? And you're going to catch hell with the rest of these nations, all right, that are here in Babylon the Great, you see? Going on to verse 23, it says, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. You know, and sure, that's globally if you look at it that way. But again, just to say, all right, just to put it out there, you know, you have other nation people, that are living here, you know, from the East, you know, from Indonesia, from India, from Pakistan. You know, we had a guy that came up to the camp here just this past week that was from Pakistan, okay, that stood there and listened to us for a while. All right, so you have other nation people that are here, you know, and still trying to make a way for themselves here and have careers here. Look at all these, you go to the hospitals, okay, you see a lot of East Indians working in these medical facilities, all right? You know, as well as the Asians, the Chinese and Japanese, and so on, okay? So you got a lot of other nation people here in Babylon the Great, and not every single one of them is going to go back to their own country, right? So there's going to be a terrible time that hits this place while all these other people are still here. All right. And we get to the last scripture, and then we wrap it up here. This is Matthew 11 and verse 28 says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest upon your souls. Salakia, unto your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. First and foremost, this is going out unto the Israelites. All right, and like I said, in that plant, and even in this clip, we don't know who is and who is not, you know, an Israelite. However, this is an opportunity, you know, we have an opportunity, those of us who through the Spirit, we know we are, you know, from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you know, this is your opportunity to come to some rest, man, in the Lord, you know, and step out of the ways of Babylon. All right, because this place will destroy you. Because why? Just as we read in Revelation, you know, these people that run Babylon have used sorcery upon the nations, right? Which includes even our own people, because they give you the illusion and the idea that everything will be sweet here in your life. Oh, you can get things now even without money, you know, which they call credit, not knowing that, you know, when you get a mortgage, you know, how much money you actually pay before you even get out of that mortgage. And then at the end of it, if you make it to the end, you don't even own it because you'll have to pay the taxes every single year. And if you don't, they'll take it back. You see? So you never really get to own anything. It's that illusion of the so-called American dream to have a job where you can raise your family. Oh, everything will be just so sweet. You'll get that house and white picket fence and on and on and on. You'll be able to put your kids through college, and not without debt you won't. Not without debt. Okay? And to keep you a debt slave. You see? And that you could only imagine for those people. And you know, they really didn't go into the economics as to how much, you know, these workers, you know, were making. I don't know if that meant that management got cut out as well, or is it just the labor force, you know, the wage workers and the truck drivers and the forklift drivers, and you know, is it just them losing their jobs, and what did they do with management, you know? But as a laborer, you know, you're not on a high pay scale, you know. I mean, you would have to figure maybe they make 20 some odd dollars an hour, you know, working in a plant like that in a small community, okay? So when you lose that, it's hard, and especially if that's the only skill that you have, it's hard for you to go out here and start up all over again, and you 47 years old or you 59 years old. You see? Babylon has done nothing but put, you know, blinders on everybody and played tricks and used sorcery, you know, to make you think you can afford this new car when you know that you can't, you know. Anyway, that's kind of my thought on that news clip. You know, when I heard about, you know, the plant closing, I heard about that this morning as I skimmed through, you know, social media and found out, you know, that news on that plant up there because there's not enough cows. Well, we know who's behind all that now, don't we? Right? It says what? The earth is all fucked up because the cows are farting. Who ever heard of such a thing? And then the people that believe it, you know? So now there's a shortage of cows. Since when? There's never been a shortage of farm animals. You see, but this is the devil playing his game. All right? Let me see. I think pretty much that's it. You know, nothing else comes to me scripture-wise. All right, so we're in the lesson right there. Giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. Shalom.